सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, titled The Status Quo, chapter 6, titled Creation of the Universal Form, and verse 37. Ekantalabha bachaso nupunsam suslokamauler gunavada auhu shrutescha vidvabhirupakaratyam katha sudhayam upasamprayogam. Ekantalabham bachaso nupumsa suslokamauler gunavada auhu shrutescha vidvabhirupakaratyam Katha Sudhayam Upasam Prayogam. Word by word meaning, synonyms. Ekanta, the one which has no comparison. Labham, gain. Vachasa, by discussion. Nupunsa, after the Supreme Person. Susloka, pious. Maule, activities. Gunavadam, glorification. Ahu, it is so said. Shrute, of the ear. Cha, also. Vidvavi, by the learned. Upakritya, being so edited. Katha Sudhayam, in the nectar of such a transcendental message. Upasamprayogam, serves the real purpose, being nearer to. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The highest perfectional gain of humanity is to engage in discussions of the activities and glories of the Lord. Glories of the pious actor. Such activities are so nicely arranged in writing by the greatly learned sages that the actual purpose of the year is served just by being near them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The impersonalists are very much afraid of hearing the activities of the Lord because they think that the happiness derived from the transcendental situation of Brahman is the ultimate goal of life. They think that anyone's activity, even that of the personality of Godhead, is mundane. But the idea of happiness indicated in this verse is different because it relates to the activities of the Supreme Personality who has transcendental qualities. The word Gunavadam is significant because the qualities of the Lord and his activities and pastimes are the subject matter for the discussion of devotees. A rishi like Maitreya is certainly not interested in discussing anything pertaining to mundane qualities. Yet he says that the highest perfectional stage of transcendental realization is to discuss the Lord's activities. Srila Jiva Goswami therefore concludes that topics regarding transcendental activities of the Lord are far beyond the transcendental realization of Kaivalya happiness. These transcendental activities of the Lord are so arranged in writing by the great sages that simply by hearing of those narrations, one becomes perfectly self-realized. And the proper use of the ear and tongue is also achieved. Srimad Bhagavatam is one of such great literatures, and the highest perfectional state of life is attained simply by hearing and reciting its contents. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpataruvescha Kripa Sindhuvaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannatha Yate Namo. So thank you so much, everyone. I pay my respectful obeisances onto your lotus feet for joining me in discussing this verse, which is so relevant to today, because today we are hearing and today we are discussing. And this verse is all about that. The verse says, Ekanta Labham. Ekanta means this is the only Eka Anta. Eka means one, and there is no comparison, and that's where it ends. And the only gain, Labham means gain. And there is a use of the word Katha Sudhayam, and there is a word of Gunavadam. Gunavadam means glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Katha Sudhayam means discussing and hearing in the form of a forum where we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada has always said, don't read my books, study my books. And we are exactly trying to do that today with this verse, which is so apt and so relevant to what we all are doing today. Ekanta Labham Vachaso Napumsam, Shushloka Maular, Gunavadamahu, Shushreta Vidvavya, Upakrintayam, Katha Sudhayam, Upasam Prayogam. That means the real purpose of all our life's happiness, bliss, is to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has essentially created us. Like, say, for example, we live as a citizen in this country or some other country, we listen to the people who have come up with the rules. But in the meantime, what we have done is we have forgotten who the universal creator is, and we never discuss about it. We discuss about the local, politicians. We discuss about so many sports personalities. But beyond that, there is someone who has created us, and we went through it in the last chapter and even the beginning of this chapter, the creation, and also in the second canto with the Chaturshloki when we started in June 2020, when COVID started, when the Srimad Bhagavatam morning Katha started. But we never discuss about the universal creator. And so here, Maitreya Muni and Vidurji are discussing, why people should recognize the importance of discussing Krishna Katha and hearing Krishna Katha. And there are some key words which we have to recognize, that they're using the word ekanta. That means there is no comparison. You won't find anything better than Krishna Katha or a Katha about the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the bona fide scriptures. So ekanta, there is no comparison. And then labham. For us, we may be greedy for money, we may be greedy for promotion, but the topmost labham, the topmost gain, or the topmost benefit, if at all we have. So Krishna says, don't be greedy, because these are the things which leads us to the path of hell. But this is the gain, this is the lobha, this is the labha, this is the gain where there is no limit for greed. We can greed to hear Krishna Katha 24/7 if it permits, and there is no harm. So this is a greed, or this is a gains which has low limit, and there is benefit all around. And we're not supposed to just read. When we read, we take based on our understanding. But when we discuss among the devotees, like in this forum, and we have another forum where we discuss. So here the word bachasa is used. That means the Krishna Katha has to be discussed with the like-minded Krishna conscious devotees, like all of you. So this is a perfect meeting place when we can glorify this verse, because this verse is all about what we're doing now. And then by whom we should be discussing? Not about some politicians, not about some sports personalities, but we should be discussing around the activities of the Supreme Lord, where Napumsa is very nicely used in this verse. And what is engaged in this? Shrute or Shruti. That means of the ear. So the ear gets engaged, and then we start recognizing and relishing the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam and some of the nectarian pastimes of the Lord. And the other word which is used very profusely is Katha Sudhayam, in the nectar of such a transcendental message. That means that with these words, it gives us the transcendental message which turns into bliss among the pure devotees of the Lord. If we are not enjoying Krishna Katha, that means we have work to do. We have some contamination to get rid of. We have to associate more. We have to chant more. And a time will come when you would see that you are not enjoying Krishna Katha. And after a year or two of this dose, which Srila Prabhupada has um, prescribed to all of us, we end up liking and recognizing the importance of Katha. And then when you think about all the organs in our body, whether it is the mouth, so when you want to use your mouth, you want to use some energy to use the mouth, or if you want to use the hands, whether it's the panchendriya or the other indriyas, we use some effort to do the activity for that organ, mouth, hand, legs. You need some effort, but ear is always open. You don't need any, opening of the ear, or you don't need anything by which you lead into some energy where you don't use up any energy. So ears are always open. So the best way to inject that element of Krishna Katha nectar is through ear, because you really don't have to do anything. You don't have to do kirtan also. You don't have to dance also. You don't have to relish Krishna Prasad. You just have to hear. Sit down, wake up in the morning, do the needs, uh, and hear. And for that, you really do not have to spend any energy in terms of dissipating any uses in order to make the organ work. So ears are always open. That's the reason why it is the best form of injecting and purifying ourselves by hearing Krishna Katha. And we'll also discuss a little bit about why it can be a bit dangerous as well. And that's the reason why ear, the Navadha Bhakti, starts with hearing, Shravanam. Then when we start hearing and discussing, we think about this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is written phonetically in the topmost language, Sanskrit, which has been described by many linguistic, natural language scientists, that Sanskrit is phonetically the topmost language, better than French, Bengali, and other top languages which are recognized in certain order. But Srila Prabhupada came to this country and he recognized that this topmost scripture, which is written in a topmost language, Sanskrit, is not available to everyone. So he painstakingly translated Srimad Bhagavatam from Sanskrit to English. By pure compassion, waking up in the night till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, if you have attempted to write a book, which some of you may have, you would recognize the importance of putting into context and working hard towards 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And Srila Prabhupada, painstakingly at the age of 70, did this. And when he was translating, after the translation was done, now this Srimad Bhagavatam is available in, and Srimad Bhagavad Gita is available in so many languages, more than 100 languages, some African language like Swahili. And what Vyasadeva spoke and what is documented and what Srila Prabhupada translated, and from there it emanated into 100 plus languages like Chinese, Swahili, and so many languages. There is absolutely no difference. The same transcendental message is carried forward. So when you think about the parampara of disciplic succession, it is not based on the quality of language or style. There might be some poetic advances in certain languages, but it is pure devotion. When these books have emanated from Sanskrit to English to 100 plus languages, there is absolutely no difference in quality, because it is not based on the style of the language. It is based on pure devotion. So Srila Prabhupada has put this so that it gives us an opportunity to hear and to discuss, because he wanted us to study, not read. So Srila Prabhupada's English Srimad Bhagavatam is translated to so many languages, no difference in quality. When somebody in a German language reads these books, he gets the same bliss. Even if the transformation of these books in terms of linguistic styles may have changed hands, not directly from Sanskrit, but there is absolutely no difference, because here it's not the quantity or where from you translate it is important. It is the quality and the love Srila Prabhupada has put in these books, which is why this verse makes it so transformative to recognize that we have to give importance to hearing and discussing. These are the two themes this verse is describing. So when our natural position is the part and parcel of Krishna, and we gain happiness in hearing Krishna Katha, that's our natural progression. If we are not there, that means we have work to do. So we are hungry to hear about Krishna Katha. That is our natural situation. But at that time, when we're hungry, if somebody gives us millions of dollars, we can't eat these paper money, right? And likewise, we cannot eat the gold necklaces if somebody offers us when we are hungry. We just need pure food. And this Krishna Katha is pure food, pure nourishment for people who are hungry for bliss. Now, there is a lot of problem in this world. It's because people are not happy. People are not blissful because they're searching for something which is not there. They're getting into a mode of, illusory, participative work. But here, the natural happiness is to situate us from where we came from and hear about the things. That is essentially the reason. See, whenever you meet somebody, from India and you have childhood pastimes, you discuss about these things. And if you fast forward thousands or millions of years ago, we had interaction with the Supreme. But by the course of these different yuga cycles, we have forgotten. And these scriptures are basically arousing that element of truth, which is why whenever somebody gives money and somebody gives gold, when you are hungry, these are useless. These are like metal and piece of paper. So the real thing is to understand what we need, and as long as it is satisfied, it is appropriate. So the natural propensity is to hear Katha about Supreme and realize bliss. So essentially, if we understand this, then you will be very regular in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita class, because you'll be attracted to that. You'll grow a taste for it. So all our Maharats, all our spiritual masters have emphasized that we have to get a taste for it. I mean, when we came to this country, personally speaking, I never had bagel for the past whatever time, but I started eating bagel, and I started growing a taste for bagel, which was not found there. So once I started having a taste for it, that became, one staple food for some time until Krishna consciousness came my way. So the thing is, gathering taste for something is very, very important. People may not have eaten enchilada, but now they are fans of enchilada. They are even making enchilada in our temple because this is the taste they have grown over the years. And so the natural propensity and the growth of the taste has to be there. So the power of hearing is the most important thing. The 9 processes of bhakti starts with hearing. Shravanam. And in chapter 7, Lord Krishna says, Maya asakta manapratha yogam yuna madashraya asam sayam samagramam yatha jnana sitachun. That means there is 1 or 2 critical words here. Here Krishna says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Vacha, Krishna says, now hear. So he's asking Arjuna to hear, just hear. O son of Pritha or Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So this word is Churna, is emphasizing Shravanam. That means you just have to hear Krishna Katha. That everything starts with hearing. And Krishna here is telling Arjuna, just hear. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are reference to Purnya Shravana Kirtana. And there are many such references actually. So here, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his message, hear, which are in themselves virtuous and when properly heard and chanted. So when you hear, the transformation happens, because when you hear, our mind gets activated. When our mind gets activated, we recognize the importance of certain virtuous aspects. We get rid of the vices, we align ourselves with virtuous things, and that is where Purnya Shravana Kirtana, when we do Shravana Kirtana, it becomes very, we get pious credits. So the hearing of the message is very relevant, and and that is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit in Tota Gopinath temple. When they used to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he knows about the pastimes of the Lord. He is actually enacting these pastimes of the Lord in this world with the gopis when he goes around Rath Yatra, when he's doing the dancing around the gopis, around the Kirtan Mandalis, around Rath Yatra. Everybody feels that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is with them, exactly like how gopis used to feel during the Ras Leela, that Lord Krishna is around them all the time. He used to do kirtan in such a way with these kirtan mandalis around Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra is coming up, that everybody feels Krishna is around them. In order to serve the Lord of the universe, if we can do the Shravanam Kirtan of his glories and be around them so that nobody feels that this person has never left us, exactly how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to do Kirtan around Rath Yatra. We used to do so many fast, circular, Kirtan, that everybody feels they are always with them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always with them, exactly like Krishna, how gopis used to feel during Ras Leela when the dance was going on, that Krishna is always with the gopis. Might have seen that picture, which is in our canvas photo frame studio of the temple. So there is absolute. So here Krishna is listening to Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit from the verandas of Tota Gopinath temple. If you go, Tota Gopinath temple has a side veranda, and on the top of the temple, you will see inscription of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu interviewing Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, and how he's sending them to Vrindavan, training them and sending them to. There's some nice inscriptions. But there, Gadadhar Pandit is explaining Srimad Bhagavatam to the Lord Yugadhan, the Yuga Avatar, and he's listening, and tears are falling, and with the tears, the manuscript is getting soiled, and they are getting dissolved with this. So when a subsequent pastime, when a devotee comes to learn Srimad Bhagavatam, Gadadhar Pandit says, now we cannot read Srimad Bhagavatam because it is already soiled and by the tears of Mahaprabhu. So hearing, and when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India, a person was uttering Srimad Bhagavatam and he was hearing it. He started ecstatic pastimes, and then he said, read more, read more, read more. So that, and he was feeling more ecstasy by reading more and more and more. So there are two ways to do knowledge acquisition: Shruti and Smriti. Shruti means which has been heard and communicated. Smriti means which has been remembered from our memory. So as you can see here on the right, Sukadev Goswami is explaining and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to assembly, and Parikshit Maharaj is there in the top listening. And in this assembly, Sutta Goswami is present. In this assembly, you see in the top right, Sutta Goswami is present. And several years ago, from that memory, Sutta Goswami comes to Naimisharana on the bottom right, you can see. And in front of 33,000 rishis led by Shaunaka Rishi, Sutta Goswami is reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. This picture speaks the entire spirit of this verse, where when heard properly with Shruti, because Shruti, our memories, now there is plenty of dementia happening. There's Alzheimer's, where people forget. You can't rely on Shruti. The Shruti, the hearing, which is so important. As you can see, Sutta Goswami is there in the assembly, hearing Sukadev Goswami speak Bhagavatam, and hundreds of years later, on the onset of the Kali Yuga, he is explaining Srimad Bhagavatam to thousands of rishis headed by Shaunaka in Naimisharana, which is near Lucknow and Kanpur. So this is actually explaining the power of Shravanam, and Parikshit Maharaj epitomizes power of Shravanam, as he knows that he is about to die in 7 days, but forgetting everything, he has renounced himself and hearing the topmost literature. When the death is around the corner, what a what a what a what a powerful personality is Parikshit Maharaj is. So there's this little pastime about how this parrot you see on the right, Radharani's parrot Sukkah, just by hearing how he transformed into Sukadev Goswami. So when Radha and Krishna were instructed, the parrot Sukkah, the male parrot Sukkah, who is Radharani's personal parrot, you see on the right, to speak about Srimad Bhagavatam, about the glories of them. So this Sukkah, the parrot, got a lot of enthusiasm to hear Bhagavatam. He used to constantly look for places where he can go and fly and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. After Radha and Krishna left their pastimes in this world, this parrot was feeling lonely, and he found that Lord Shiva is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam in Bhuvaneshwar Dham. Lord Shiva resides in Kailas and also resides in his abode in Bhuvaneshwar in various different forms. So Lord Shiva was speaking Bhagavatam to Parvati Devi in Bhuvaneshwar Dham, in Ekamra Chakra in Bhuvaneshwar. So Sukha went and sat in a mango tree hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva in a hiding way. So when Lord Shiva progressed, and when Lord Shiva was in the 10th canto, Parvati Devi fell asleep. But Sukha, the parrot, never wanted the Srimad Bhagavatam hearing to stop. So when Parvati ji was humming that I'm listening, I'm listening. And when Parvati Devi fell asleep, there is no one to hum. So at that time, Sukha, the parrot, did humming. So after some time, Lord Shiva recognized that Parvati is sleeping, but this humming is coming. So he recognized the parrot and he started to go after and kill him. The Sukha ran to Badrikashram, and at the time, Vasudev was reciting and speaking Bhagavatam to his wife Vitika. And at that time, she was ecstatic hearing Bhagavatam, and her mouth was open. So the parrot, fearing Lord Shiva, went inside the mouth and into her womb. And after staying in the womb for 16 years, Sukha came out as a boy, and he was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Vasudev, and he later became Sukadev Goswami, who is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So we can spend a lot of time on that, but what to hear? Hear Krishna Katha from bona fide sources, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, bona fide scriptures like Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. and how to enhance devotional service. Don't hear prajalpa. If somebody is saying in the temple that, okay, this Mataji, is so and so, they are like Jatila and Kutila, they hide stuff. Even if you are not part of that prajalpa, don't hear. It may contaminate you, because so far you are not thinking like that. But by just hearing that, poisonous thing, it will think, hey, really? Really? Hmm. So don't hear prajalpa. Even if you are not doing prajalpa, don't hear prajalpa. Don't hear the blasphemy of devotees. Don't hear Krishna Katha from impersonalist. So with that, I'd like to end here. What a powerful words to start the day. Happy Friday. Thank you for being part of this hearing process. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Jagannatha. Okay. We wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day and weekend ahead. Also a long weekend. And we hope that it's a memorial weekend and it will be more memorable what is involved and absorbed in Krishna consciousness. We have 6-hour kirtan from 3 to 9 p.m. on Sunday at the temple. Also Sunday morning, we have class by, let's see,
Patri
Prabhu from Nepal, regional secretary there. Wonderful devotee. So we'll be giving a class on 8 to 9 on our Sunday channel. Okay. Apart from that, we'll have Govindas starting from today evening, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday will be limited hours, 12 to 2 and 5 to 9 in the evening. And